is just big green idiots in removal versus little green idiots, and hoping to get the job done as Mason's just going to play a forest and pass the turn.
Pretty hard for his deck to not have something to do on turn one. There's quite a few one-drops.
Yeah, this isn't the first time we saw this, actually. He did this when we watched him against blue-white as well. He did not get off to a particularly fast start, and you're going to see a Brush Strider.
Take that, Sylvan Caryatid.
Yep. Go ahead and try to block this.
Yeah, go ahead and block.
There is a Mutavault. This might be a Sylvan Caryatid.
It's really funny, the prevalence of Sylvan Caryatid is making a lot of 3-power doofuses just much more prevalent and constructed.
Yep. Gotta love it, though.
Yep. There's another one.
There's Crozen Tusker. Excuse me, Colonian Tusker, and passing the turn back. So in for 3, Rekow's going to go down to 17. That is Rekow, is how his last name's pronounced. Like Rekow Suave.
I said like Rekow Predicate.
See, I don't know what that is.
It's an organized crime sort of criminal code. Like federal governments can, charge people with multiple crimes if they're part of a criminal conspiracy.
Is it like from a video game?
If you were from New Jersey, you would know this because there's a lot of organized crime, so it comes up quite a bit.
Okay, sure. There's certainly none in Cleveland. You're right. Yeah, everything is just safe there, like the river that lights on fire.
So that's a different problem.
An Elvish Mystic is the play here for Rekow, and it's time to get in the red zone again, baby. Ooh, Brush Strider, is it going to go down? The answer is no. Ranger's Guile is going to make it a 4-2.
I love it.
Thank you much. An attack here, the 3 damage is going to come through. Rekow's going to go down, actually, to 14 now. And the follow-up, what's it going to be? There's a Reverend Hunter, and that's going to be a 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a 4-4? That's a 5-5. 4 counters, excuse me. That's big.
That's a good deal. That's one of the big payoffs for this deck. Reverend Hunter is quite powerful. He's flooding the board with a lot of double green 2-drops. He's an aggressive deck in general.
Oh, Chandra's kind of the fun police in the situation, takes care of the Brush Strider. But that Chandra could actually get either A, knocked down by the Reverend Hunter, or completely ignored. And I almost like the idea of ignoring it right now.
I'm a big fan of ignoring.
What is that thing really going to do? See where the attacks are going to go, and he isn't going to take it down, looks like, with the Reverend Hunter, and attack Rekow for 3 with the Tusker, so he's going to go down to 11. The follow-up play is going to be a copy of Braintree Emissary into an Elvish Mystic, and just pass the turn back. And the reason that Mason is holding that Boon Satyr is because he's got bigger intentions for that thing.
Yeah, it can help him play around Mizium Mortars, which is a card he has to concern himself with. It's also just a pump spell in general. There's
a rather boring Courser of Krufix going to turn over another copy of Courser of Krufix. And one of the things that's nice about this mono green deck, much like your Sullivan red deck, is it's just about being hyper aggressive. That's it. Now, if you want to do it being mono black, mono white, mono red, or mono green, whatever. You see him just turn all his creatures sideways. There's your block. Damage, this is going to be for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, plus 4, 13. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Mason Lange has won game number 1 here. Mono green aggro up a game over Jund Monsters.
That was a great start. I'm really a fan of this deck. Big fan. It does have some vulnerabilities, of course, yes?
I just love it. I'm generally blown away by the fact that this is a strategy that is currently working today. It's just a ragtag group of things.
Again, it is a lot of the same principles that make mono black and mono red reasonably playable decks. Is people are messing around and stumbling. This deck's actually more, I think, a lot better at pumping through certain blockers, as he appears to be flashing a Bramble Crush towards the camera.
He's bring that in. The 1 of Bramble Crush. What else does he have in his sideboard there?
We got 1 Bramble Crush, 4 Mistcutter Hydras, 4 Nylea's Disciples, a Scavenging Ooze, 2 Mending Touches, 3 Dry Militants. I assume Dry Militant playing a role in the sideboard similar to Fire Drinker Satyr in burn strategies. When you're playing against decks like Esper or Blue-White, you just want to be lower to the ground. So here, I don't really think that he wants to touch too much here. I do like the 2 copies of Mending Touch quite a bit. He did flash the Bramble Crush, so it's possible that's coming in as well. I don't think really Nylea's Disciple, Dry Militant, or Mistcutter Hydra are that well suited the match. He may want the extra Ooze as well.
I don't love the Bramble Crush on the draw, but I do want the Bramble Crush in the deck.
Yeah.
So, because it's Bramble Crush, as we take a look here at Rekow's sideboard. 2 Thoughtseize, 2 Ultimate Price, 3 Mistcutter Hydra, 2 Abrupt Decay, a Vraska the Unseen, a Rakdos' Return, a Mizium Mortars, 2 copies of Golgari Charm, and a Chandra Pyramaster, an additional one because there's already one in his main deck. Ultimate Price and Abrupt Decay, those are easy, along with the Mizium Mortar. So that's a pretty simple 5. Golgari Charm we saw a little bit earlier against the White Winning deck be an absolute nightmare. I actually don't think it's great against this deck because green creatures, they have more than 1 toughness.
Yeah, sure. It still has some targets. You're looking at the Brush Strider, certainly Elvish Mystics. There's a couple things that get swept under it, but by and large, Golgari Charm is not nearly as good against Mason's deck as it is against the White Aggro list that we had on camera, or even my build of red. Golgari Charm's quite good against my red deck, but not a lot going on against Mason's list.
And one thing I must say for Mason Lange is he is having a ball.
I don't blame him. I'd be having a ball too.
Yeah, 8-1 with mono green. Got to sit down in the sideboard with Nick Miller. Potential chance here to make top 8. And if you didn't know, he's already won a Star City Games Open Series before in Madison.
I was unaware.
Yeah, with the standard green-red aggro deck. So this is how he likes to get down.
I love it. I love the slaughter horns too.
Oh, who doesn't?
I wish there was a fourth.
We can work on that. Maybe
Yeah,
get the Bramble Crush out of the deck.
Yeah, I'll talk to him about
Okay.
it. Decks like this, I think the efficient Blood Rush creatures are so important because cards like Pelucranos and even just random 4/4s are kind of difficult to slog through. So,
And hey, Magic isn't a great place, but mono green aggro is a great deck. I remember coming up, Vine Dryad,
oh yeah,
some Stompy cards, some Rankers. That's how I like to do it. A couple of Pouncing Jaguars. Mm-hmm. That card was nice. Albino Troll. It looks like Mending Touches are coming in now. Maybe they're going out. I'm not entirely sure.
they are being flourished in any event.
Yeah, they are being shown to the camera as the card that actually helped Mason win the last round against Blue-White Control. A matchup that I thought would be really tough for him. And the game where Supreme Verdict actually did clean up everything, he of course lost, but Mending Touch actually was able to save a Brush Strider. And between that and Mutavault, went the distance.
Yeah, and what I really like about Mason's list against a deck like that, he has so many cheap 3-power guys that Jace is much less of an issue as it is for White Weenie or Red Aggro. It's much easier for him to kill a Jace that's plussing.
Last Breath, too.
Yeah.
Really not good against this deck.
3-power for 2 mana is a good thing to be doing in Standard right now. Sylvan Carrier's hit and Jace. And just generally being aggressive as well.
I generally enjoy, as you mentioned, when we saw Sylvan Carrier to get played, that, yeah, you just get to just rum sack right through that. Just nice card, attack for 3.
Look at what I'm doing to you right now.
Brush Strider is furious.
Yeah.
In for 3 we go.
Let me know you want a chump block. It's happening eventually.
Why does Brush Strider have Vigilance? Nobody knows. But that's fine. And one reason that Mason actually has Brush Strider in his deck is because you can play it off of Burning Tree Emissary, almost for the same reason that Gorehouse Chainwalker is in your red deck, which I really like.
You gotta cast something.
Is Mason going to keep his hand? I think it might be Experiment 1 time, or is it going to be Mystic time? A little unsure. Going to go with Experiment 1.
Implies a pretty, oh boy. Now
We're doing it. This is the definition of doing it. There's a Scavenging Ooze.
Oh boy.
A couple copies of Burning Tree Emissary over there. There's another copy of Boon Satyr as well. So this is a delightful hand. A juicy peach, as it were.
Yeah.
Burning Tree Emissary, going to trigger Evolve.
And all of these decks are essentially Burning Tree Emissary decks.
Yeah.
The red deck and this green deck as well. Burning Tree Emissary is so powerful. It's not always going into a deck that's very good because there's other limitations around it. But in decks like this, Burning Tree Emissary is the straw that stirs the drink.
Yeah, I love offering up the trade here, too, because Scavenging Ooze gets better as the game goes. So if Scavenging Ooze trades with an Experiment 1 that's a 2-2, and then Mason has a backup Scavenging Ooze of his own, that's so good for him.
Yeah.
You see a couple copies of Boon Satyr, along with another copy of Scavenging Ooze.
Mason is very excited about his hand. He's been doing some flashing for the camera.
It's all rares.
Yeah.
It's hard not to be excited about so many gold cards. There is a Mizium Mort who's going to take care of that. It means Ooze can become a 3-3 here. This was the fear.
Yeah, that's a really good turn there for Mike.
That's also part of the reason that I actually like the fact that Mason didn't play Scavenging Ooze on his turn, because his Scavenging Ooze can actually help him win the game. Now, Scavenging Ooze is going to come into play. A response is going to eat that Experiment 1. But I actually like this play quite a bit from Mason of holding the Scavenging Ooze because you don't want it to die to a removal spell.
Yeah. And also, he really wants to get the Elvish Mystic into play because he has 2 Boon Satyrs in hand, so getting to 5 mana is important as well.
Do you like offering up here a Burning Tree Emissary to get in to a Scavenging Ooze? Oops. Don't want to see that. You can attack here with both copies of Burning Tree Emissary. Yeah, one's going to die, but then you can eat one immediately and make your Scavenging Ooze a 3-3 to keep up with the opponent's Scavenging Ooze.
I don't know. I think his creatures probably have more value than that over time. I guess this is fine. It just feels keeping up with his Ooze is a really troublesome strategy to take when it's very likely that your Ooze just gets terminated by a Dreadbore or something like that.
Sure. Abrupt Decay, Ultimate Price.
Yeah, there's just so much removal that it's hard to imagine that the Scavenging Ooze is really productive.
Well, we're going to see how it goes as Reko's going to untap here. A little bit of damage did come through there for Mason. Now, of course, Reko does know that there's a Boon Satyr hanging out. What he doesn't know is that there's a second one, so Reko's going to figure out exactly how he doesn't want to play his lands here. It's going to be a forest to start. No black mana yet here for our Jund Monsters player, but he does have a copy of Domri. And Domri is going to go fighting, targeting Burning Tree Emissary.
Another good turn for Mike.
And Mason not going to make a move here.
Some risky business.
Well, I like this play here because there's no reason for Mason to move, and Mike actually can't afford to move, right? Because if he activates, then Mason just uses the Llanowar Mystic, or excuse me, the Elvish Mystic to actually pump in response. Yeah. So everything here is actually pretty kosher for him. As Lange is just going to pass the turn back. Scavenging Ooze is going to attempt to eat, and Lange is going to say, I don't think so. So now his Scavenging Ooze is actually ahead, which is, I think, where he wants to be. This is why I like the Burning Tree Emissary attack, because even though you're throwing away your creature, this is okay, because your Ooze is actually bigger. Now, if Rekow draws black mana, things probably get a little more hairy, but he doesn't have it yet.
Yeah, I guess in the world where Mike is missing black mana, Mason's play is quite good. But you can't, when he made that attack, you can't be certain that there's no Blood Crypt or Overgrown Tune in Mike's hand. It's certainly possible.
That's definitely true. Here's a Courser. Top card, Stomping Ground, still no black. That's going to come into play tapped. Rico's going to go up to 16. See what the top card here is now. There is a black mana in Temple of Malice, but that's going to come into play tapped, so there's a real delay on black mana here for Rekow.
Yeah. Mike is really behind the 8-ball at this point.
Boon Satyr going to come into play. Again, Rekow didn't know about that because Lange dropped it on the table. What he doesn't know about is a second Boon Satyr, which Lange can play. And we can see if he wants to attack with everything here or just some of the stuff. And it's everything yet again. Really like this attack.
This is a tough block.
Oh, boy. That's a double block. This is a great turn. I think this is going to take care of both of them, right? So that's a 4. That's an 8. Geez, that's an 8/6 and doesn't die. Wow, that's a good Boon Satyr.
Perhaps dropping the Boon Satyr on the table was actually helpful for Mason there, as he played the first one and Mike thought the coast was clear.
Maybe it was all ploy.
No, I don't think that's true.
No, I don't think it was either. I think you're right. Here's a Courser. Going to turn over the top card. That's a copy of Elvish Mystic. The Temple of Malice is going to come into play. Going to trigger the Scry and the life gain. Resolve the life gain first. Scry is going to resolve second. And down that goes. Top card is a Sylvan Caryatid. I'm just going to have to pass the turn back over to Lange, who's going to untap. He's going to take a draw. We'll see what he can find. It's a forest. Nothing of consequence here. No Mutavaults in his lands. So all he can do is really just consider attacking with everything. He's going to take a look at the graveyard really quickly here, rub his hands together, and time to get the dirty work done.
Oh, I like attacking with everything here. Mike almost certainly can't afford to block Elvish Mystic.
Yeah, I love it. And he's going to come in the red zone with everything again. There's some creatures in that graveyard, so Scavenging Ooze can certainly grow. There's your trade. We're going to get a couple activations. You're going to see an attack here for 4, 8, 9, 10, 11 points of damage. These two creatures are going to trade.
Jiminy.
I can't believe my eyes. I couldn't believe it last round either, but I really can't believe it now.
I would have thought that Jump Monsters had a reasonable matchup here.
That's what I would think, too.
You have Palicronos and a lot of removal spells, and Mason is just sawing through them right now. Yeah, this is incredible.
Reaper of the Wilds is typically a brick wall, but one thing about Mason's deck is that it's frighteningly consistent in what it does. It's going to do the same thing every game. Now, if you can beat it, if you can beat what it's doing, that's fine. But, you can't really afford to fumble and stumble around as Rico's going to draw a card.
Yeah, I think you might have thought that the course was already in play. Even if Mike receives a game loss here, it's almost incidental, as he's receiving a game loss from the attacks he's taking.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's going to be a game loss or not, but there's a concession here because Mike Rekow was being decimated. You see Mason's friends. There's a look at the camera. Mono Green Aggro is 9-1 and likely the #1 seed in the elimination rounds. Are you kidding me?